Well, people, we have had, I guess, I don't want to call it an exciting week because it's really not exciting, but we have had a week this past weekend and this week so far. I'm telling you, the things we have learned about our country, it is not good, people. Now, I am a very positive person. I do not like negative things. I do not like to come before people. I don't like to communicate with people and give out a lot of negative stuff. But I am a realist. You have to face what's going on. That's why I don't like making videos, because every one of them will be negative. And that I just to come before the people and just give negative information. Plus, because people have their own things they're dealing with in their own personal lives, with their own families and things. And then to hear all this other negative things coming from D.C. and all over from our supposedly representatives and our government, it's horrible. But we have to face things. We have to say what's happening in our country. And what we're learning is things that we already knew. Okay, most conservative Republican people are very critical thinkers, and we know what's going on. But to have it confirmed does not give me joy. It does not give me any kind of joy to say, we told you, because it's not good. What we have learned is that we are losing our republic, people. We are losing it. We might have just lost it. If you listen to the things that have come out on the news channels that will talk about it, like you got Newsmax, Fox, some of Fox people will talk about it, those news stations, and they lay it out. And then you have some very, very good commentators. They're on YouTube, but they're like the Epic Times and things like that. When they bring this stuff to you, it's not good. And they're giving you facts, historical facts. They're giving you all of this. But now we learn. Okay, let's start with Twitter. Now, we all knew that they were suppressing conservatives on Twitter. We knew that. But we didn't know to what extent we didn't know how deep this stuff was. We didn't know that. We didn't know all the people that were involved. We didn't know that our own FBI was working hand in hand with Twitter, a social media platform, to suppress any conservative commentary, tweets, or whatever that would hurt the Biden administration. Well, he wasn't administration at the time. At the time when it first happened, he was running it was his campaign. But what we're learning is this. They even, not only did they suppress, main conservative commentators and things, they were just doing the everyday citizens as well. As with a miracle, they didn't suppress mine, but I did get a lot of, my feed jumped up and my followers jumped up about 5,000 members once Elon took over. But then I've gotten messages from a lot of people that said, we haven't seen you in a year or two. We thought you were no longer on Twitter. We're now getting your feed. So I guess you can call that shadow banning. But I didn't get banned altogether. I guess I didn't say enough stuff. But listen, they even banned satire accounts that just posted jokes and memes. So that tells me that the Democrat Party is so pathetic that they couldn't even withstand people telling jokes about Joe Biden and his campaign. If you can't if you can't function, if your side can't get their message out, if your side can't win an election against jokes, then you're pretty pathetic. So they banned, and it wasn't even a big account. That person didn't even have a lot of followers, but they were just a satire accounts. But I guess that hurts. And the people will believe it. And we can't have people believing that even if it is a joke. So we have to ban this. That's how pathetic they were. We learned that, of course, they had to come up with all kind of new rules and regulations to ban a sitting president. And Michelle Obama, the former first lady, even got in on trying to ban Trump. Because one thing about Trump, see, they told y'all for years Trump was lying, but everything Trump has ever said has been the truth. And they know this. They know this. So that's why they had to ban him, because he was just putting out the facts. And then, of course, the Hunter Biden laptop story. I mean, they went through all kinds of ways, you name it, to get that out of the media. And we learned that the FBI, now listen, this is what hurts me so much about all of this stuff. Our FBI was working hand in hand. We learned that in the Twitter dump. That they were working hand in hand with a social media platform, and they paid them money. Our tax dollars was used to pay Twitter whatever, what they were paying them for or whatever. The FBI paid Twitter money. And then they was working with them to ban and watch everybody's tweets. Now, they're trying to claim, this is the spin everybody's using. We're trying to protect democracy. That's one thing, but that's stupidity. But violence and threats to people and harmful things. But when you see the tweets that they were suppressing, there was no violence in any of those tweets. That, they even claimed when they were looking at Trump's tweets, especially after January 6th, they were saying we had to take into account how those tweets would be perceived by others. Even though there's nothing violent in any of his tweets, there's nothing, saying fight and rise up and overtake the government, nothing violent in the tweets. But their excuse was we had to look at how somebody else would interpret it, how would they perceive it. Like people are stupid, basically. So we had to go on the other side and be the person reading the tweets. And how did what were they thinking? And that was our way of saying, we have to ban this account. It's dangerous. It causes violence. Because that's what they kept saying. His tweets are causing violence. So we learned that. And that's very disappointing. That's very disappointing. So then we learned, because that's the First Amendment. They don't care anything about the First Amendment when it's on the other side, when it's going to expose them. The First Amendment can go out the window. Then we learned this week, we learned today as well, that they're trying to pass an omnibus bill, okay? Now, if you read that bill, I guarantee you won't find not one thing in that pork-filled bill that they're trying to pass. 1-point-something trillion total. But you got so many millions for this and so many. But you won't find anything in that bill that will benefit you and your family. You won't find that. You'll find something for illegal aliens that have come over here and they got to have a place to live, and we have to house and feed them. You'll find that. They even had the nerve to have, I think, 42 million in there for the media. The media that's lying to us every day. Our tax dollars, remember now, these are our tax dollars going to the media. The one that's the propaganda media that's lying to us. Does that help you and your family or me? And then, so of course, this Ukraine thing. All the money has to go to Ukraine as well. We have to help Ukraine fight Russia, supposedly. All of this money, none of it helps us. Now, I told you on my last video that this is supposed to be a democratic government where the people have all the supreme power. Me and you, we have all the power, and those people are supposed to do what we say. They're not supposed to pass any bills or anything unless they consult us and we agree to it. Just like I'm watching the series on the revolution. And one thing I noticed is, now, there was the British Parliament that was over the colonies. And every time that they tried to push a law that the colonies did not want, the colonies would rebel and rise up. And guess what they would do, the British Parliament? They would let it go. They wouldn't pass the bill when they rose up. What is that telling us? And then nothing has changed. People, now we have a constitution. We have all of that. This was before all of that. Before we became 50 states, or even before then. Before we fought them. This is before the actual war where we broke away from British government, British control. This is before then. They would rise up. This is even before, then the biggest one we know about is the Boston Tea Party. But this was before then. They passed a bill or try to pass a law that's oppressed the colonies, the citizens. They rise up, and then they would repeal the bill. Okay, I see they're mad about this. What has happened, people? We don't have any, we're a long ways from that now. They go in there and get together. All the people that we sent to D.C., we sent them there on both sides. It doesn't matter what party, because they're all doing it. We send them to D.C., and they get together to themselves. They don't consult us. And they say, we got to have money for this, money for that. Mitch McConnell just said The number one priority of Americans is to make sure we fund Ukraine so that they can beat Russia. How is that the number one priority of our tax dollars, the taxpayers? How does that affect us? That's what he said. Now, Kentucky keeps sending this fool back to D.C. Kentucky. I think that's where that fool is from. But he says, I'm speaking for the majority of the Republicans. He probably is. The ones in Capitol, the ones in D.C. on Capitol. He's probably telling the truth when he says he's speaking for them. So what has happened? Do we have any representation in D.C.? No. Which brings me to the main point of why they're trying to get rid of President Trump. That tells you everything you need to know right now. Now this is what I want to get on. We learned that the so-called January 6th committee is referring 4 criminal charges on President Trump. They want him prosecuted. Now, every charge, there's no evidence to support any of it. And they know this. But what I learned about that, and also a couple of days before then, so many Democrat representatives have sent a letter, and they signed it saying, President Trump, they were trying to stop him from running, okay? He's already announced he's running, but this is a couple of days ago. So many Democrat people in D.C., representative, I think it was in House members, signed a letter saying, trying to stop him from running. He doesn't need to run. Now, the reason I'm telling you these things is I want you to understand that people's actions prove what they really think, not what they say out of their mouths. Their actions. A person's actions will always tell you the truth, how they really feel about something. Now, they're doing this. Everybody's trying to stop President Trump from running, not winning, from running, okay? Remember they say, though, when you listen to them, they'll say Trump's over with. His days are over. He's a loser. He can't win. It's time to move on. And the Republicans are saying it too. The GOP establishment and the people at the Daily Wire and all of them, they're all saying that. These are talking points, okay? They're sending it out because they want Trump's base to believe it. And a lot of so-called Trump supporters have believed it. They say it back, Trump can't win. We can't win with Trump. He's too toxic. All of a sudden, Trump has become toxic and divisive. The same Trump. Nothing. Now, what happened? Nobody's saying, well, what happened? Trump's been the same. But all of a sudden now he's divisive, he's toxic, he can't win, and all that. Well, if that's the case, people, why are you trying to stop him from running? Because if he's going to lose, let him get clobbered. Let him run and fail. But they said, we don't even want him to run. What does that tell you, people? If they say they don't even want him to run, even though they've already said he's going to lose, you can't win with him, he's over with, he's dried up and washed out or whatever, washed up. If that's the case, why would you try to stop him from running then? Let him run. So that's telling you something. Because, see, the things they're doing with this bill right now, this is kind of stuff Trump was trying to stop. Because he says America first. Nothing in that bill that they're trying to pass is America first. None of it is. Okay? What they were doing on Twitter with the FBI and all of them using our tax dollars, paying Twitter people to do this and do that. How did that help us? America first. That's the last thing they want, people, is America first. So that's why we're learning all this. That's why they're doing all this. And they want you to think it's all Trump and Trump's the problem. No, they're the problem. They're trying to get all this stuff done. And so, okay, the House, the Democrat House, of course, they're going to be out of power next month. So they're getting everything done now. They're going to have Zelensky? He's going to come speak tonight, I think. He's going to come and speak. Why is he speaking? Yet still, we have people that's living paycheck to paycheck. People can't afford their groceries. People can't afford rent. You can't afford this. You can't afford that. Citizens that's paying taxes. I've been paying taxes since I was 16 years old. Okay? Well, how am I being benefited for any of these things they're doing? None. And I know a lot of you have been paying taxes your entire lives, working and paying taxes. Yet still, they're trying to pass a $1.7 trillion omnibus bill that has nothing to do with me and you. Nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with America first. And that's what's over with. They don't ever want America first. They don't ever want anybody in power that's going to work for you. Even though that's what they're up there supposed to be doing. It's working for you and me. That's what they're supposed to be doing. So we have lost our republic. That's what has happened. And I don't know what we're going to have to do, when we're going to rise up, what's going to happen. I don't know. I have no idea because they've gotten away with that so long. So I didn't wake up until Trump. To be honest, I never would have thought that Mitch McConnell would come out and say something like this. That the number one priority for America is to help another country when we're in basically a recession because of Joe Biden, which I'm quite sure he voted for. I'm quite sure he voted for Biden. A lot of those rhinos. But this is another thing that they're telling you by their actions. These Democrats that's trying to get Trump prosecuted, those Democrats that signed that letter saying, he's not fit, we don't want him running. Well, if he's not fit, let him run. If he's not fit. What they're saying is they know he's going to get back in power. That's what this is saying. And it's also saying that Joe Biden did not win. Because if Joe Biden won with that big of a margin over Trump, who can let Trump run? Let Trump run. You understand? And that's what I'm trying to get people to see, to think critically. Now, you can vote, of course, whoever you want to vote for. But you need to look at people's actions, not their words. They'll tell you one thing, and then over here, and saying he's washed up and he's over with. Okay, he's divisive. Okay, how is a president divisive that expanded his voter base by 10 million from 2016 till he ran again in 2020? He expanded 10 million. That's impossible for a divisive person to do. Think, people, think when they tell you that. He's toxic. What did he do to make himself toxic? What exactly happened where he all of a sudden, this is all happened after the midterm. These are the talking points that the GOP establishment and the Daily Wire and all the YouTubers that are supported by the Daily Wire, that they give money to some kind of way. They all have started just repeating the same talking points. He's divisive and he's toxic. When did he become toxic and divisive? What specifically happened? At what point did all this happen? Right after the midterms. So that's what I want you people to see. Listen. Listen to what they say and watch what they do. So here we are. This week has been a week, this past weekend, and this week, we've just learned so much. And none of it is good. And I hate to come before people with negative stuff. But this is one thing I do want to say. I do want to say this because this needs to be said. When we look at all of the things that's going on in this country, in order to survive mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you need to look at things you can be thankful for. Despite all this stuff is going on. Yes, we're in a mess. But when you wake up in the morning, this is something I had to start practicing myself, is first thing I do, I'm going to think of things that I need to be, that I can be thankful for today. Because one of the things is, a lot of fear comes from, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's the truth. We're worried about our future. You're worried about how you're going to feed your families. You're worried about all these other things because this country is in a recession. We have a terrible, a horrible president, and that's his goal. Our borders are overtaken. So it's a lot of fear coming from, but the fear is what's going to happen tomorrow. But there's a saying that says, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. And we don't even know whether we'll be here tomorrow or not. But responsible people, we like to try to plan. That's why we get fearful. We say, okay, well, I got to try to plan this. But what I do now to combat all of this is I wake up and I said, what can I be thankful for? If you still have a roof over your head today, you can be thankful. Thankful for the roof over my head. If you have transportation today, you can get back and forth to the store. You can get back and forth to your job or to taking your kids to the school. Thankful for my transportation. Thankful that I can afford food today. Yes, eggs are very expensive. Kitty, my friend Kitty, told me that she went to the grocery store and she saw eggs for $8 and $6. Even the store brand were $6 and $8. That's horrible. Have you ever heard of that? Sounds like Hawaii, because Hawaii has always been, I have friends in Hawaii, and they have always had expensive milk. A gallon of milk has always been like, this was back in the 90s. They would tell me, milk is $8 because they had to fly everything in. But it's like that now here, on this side. We don't have to fly everything in. Milk is expensive. Eggs are expensive. So we worry about how are we going to be able to feed our family tomorrow. See, that's what our fear is. But we have to just look at today and say, thank you. I'm thankful that I have food on the table and I can buy groceries today. That I have a roof over my head today. That I have transportation today. That I have a job today. And despite everything that's going on in this country and how they're destroying our democracy, our republic, that's what we live in, a republic. Be thankful that you still live in the greatest country. America is still today the greatest country in the world. Those are the things we're going to have to concentrate on to get through this. And I just wanted to say that with all this negative stuff going on, I want to end with something positive. And that's what we have to do. That I have to do that every day, is to get up and think about everything that you can be thankful for today. I want everyone to have a very Merry Christmas. If you have children and grandchildren, I want you to hug them and squeeze them, because that is your legacy right there. Hug and kiss on them, because they're trying to destroy them. That's their main target as well. Then that's your legacy. Love on them. You're blessed today if you have grandchildren and children. You're blessed today if you have family members that love you. You're blessed today. And I want you to think of that. When you turn on the news, when you read all this negative stuff, think about everything that you can be thankful for today. Have a blessed day.